Hello, everyone. Very good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening, sir.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
We have Manan, Mohammad Azam, Pankti, Shata, Varad, and Likit. And we are waiting for a few more students. So it's nice, right? 6 o'clock. Students who are busy during the day, you get extra hour to sort out your affairs. Students, whoever can have their videos on, especially new students, please do that so that I can have a look. Mohammad Azam is here, Varad is here. Nice to see you guys. And again, Nukul, Likit, Pankti, Shweta, Manan, nice to have you in class. The first lecture for any subject is always the best lecture because you get a brief about what you're going to do during the entire course of your training for this particular topic. Okay, now our strategy was simple. We learn how to talk in aviation radio telephony, and we try to master the most complicated of all topics or subjects, that is navigation. Once we are comfortable with the two, we start working towards regulations and metrology, which is comparatively easier. Regulations is actually all about who does what, how to do what, and what not to do, what to do, all about the do's and don'ts as regulated by the civil aviation government of the country wherever you reside. For us, it is India. For a student learning elsewhere, it is the regulation stipulated by the other country of residence. So we are going to study today about the entire aspect or the whole picture as to what is regulation and what are we going to do over the period of a certain few lectures, I would say, till the time we are done with studying regulations. Everybody, let's just settle down. And I think we are short of a few students. Let me check the attendance. Shata, nice to see you. Manan, nice to see you. Nakul, nice to see you. Neha and Likit and Pankti, I hope you're there and you can hear me well. Mm, so Pankti is here. Hussein is joining us after a long time. Manan is here. Shata and Likit and Muhammad Azam and Nakul and Neha and Varad. Niner, correct. You'll be surprised that couple of questions are also going to come from what you learn in your aviation radio telephony, in your regulations. There's a separate chapter dedicated in your textbooks, and your regulations also follow how you are going to communicate using the aviation radio telephony with other personnel or other people in the operations department. Okay, students, just give me a few minutes. Let me check on these couple of students and I'll get back. You can be at ease. You can turn off your videos and relax. Just keep your speakers on whenever I call on you. Let's just come back and we'll start with the session. Okay, give me a couple of minutes. Lakshya, how do you read? Lakshya, are you there?
Victor Tango, Lima Alpha Kilo, I read 5.
Roger. All right. Okay, students, let's come back. It was too short than I thought it would take. So the first thing I want to ask, and my question to you all, what do you think is there when you think about air regulations? Okay, let me ask this question to, let's start with Mohammed Azam. So Azam, please, what do you think is regulations in your own words? There is no right or wrong answer.
Air regulations means the laws and rules of the air regulations, sir.
Say again, the laws and regulations of.
The laws of the aircraft and air regulations, how the pilot should perform, and what are the rules and regulations in airport, in tower, everything.
Very quick to give the answer, but yeah, laws, regulations to be followed by the airport and everything in between. Okay. Nukul, what about you? What do you think is regulations?
Sir, it is a rules that followed by pilot or by crew or various aircraft staff or maintenance staff to maintain decorum of airbase and air traffic control.
Rules followed by the staff to maintain certain sort of decorum, you're saying, correct? Okay, fine. Shata, how about you? What do you think regulations is all about?
So it is rules and regulations to be followed by the pilots and the personnel involved in the industry for the safe operation of the flight.
Rules and regulations to be followed by the personnel in the industry for safe operations of the flight. Yes, very nice. Hussein, nice to see you after a long time.
Hello,
Hussein, with
sir.
your
Nice to see you.
experience, thank you. Hussein, you must have noticed some change in my looks.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not
The
sure if
specs
it is.
is something.
Oh, only the specs? Great. I'm glad you're only noticing the
I
specs.
saw sunglasses and I was like, why is sir wearing sunglasses in broad?
Sir is wearing sunglasses to avoid looking more funny. No, nothing. So, yeah, Hussein, tell me, what do you think regulations is all about in your experience?
Yes, sir. So air regulations is all about laws, procedures, operations, anything regarding rules for uh, operation regarding states and ICAO and everything. So it's basically laws.
Basically, laws and everything. See, it's such a simple thing to put in words. Everybody is able to put it in simple sentences, one sentence, two sentence. Then why do we have to study so much of information for our examinations? And why do we see that not every student finds it easy to clear the paper in their first attempts? Why is it so difficult that students are stuck at 64 or 66 or 68? It's a 50-mark paper, and every question carries 2 marks, like you get 100 marks. So either you will get 68 or 70. There's no chance of getting 69, which is something you can score in technical or navigation, where you have 100 questions. How about you, Varad? What do you think?
So those are the rules of air, which is followed by the persons into the aircraft with the rules of air basically.
Rules of air. Okay.
Yeah.
When we say rules of air, does it mean the physics behind how air provides certain laws like Newton's law of gravity, then Bernoulli's principle? Does that, is
No
that
sir,
what
no,
we mean when we say rules of the air, students?
no sir,
No, Varad? Correct.
no sir.
There is definitely something called rules of the air. And what is this rules of the air? These rules of the air, the term, okay, today we are going to talk about this term, rules of the air. Rules of the air will actually talk about the rules you have to follow during your flight operations when you are in air, like that. So that becomes rules of the air. Rules of the air will carry major chunk of your exam weightage. Okay. If somebody who's not a student, okay, who's not taken admission, talks to me saying, sir, what's the strategy to clear regulations? How do you think I should go ahead with it? What would I say? I would say there are 7 to 8 topics that you need to get yourself thorough with. One of which is rules of the air. There's rules of the air, there's licensing, there is human factors, there's communications, okay, and 3 to 4 more points. You must be wondering, sir, do I need to buy a textbook? I have already bought a textbook. Should I be buying a textbook? I have old textbooks. Are they going to help? If you have textbooks by Mr. R.K. Bali, of course, it will help you in ways where you can practice a lot of questions. The data is also there in the book, but where does the data come from? The data comes from what is known as Civil Aviation website. Okay, that is the DGCA website, and that is the most dependable source of your knowledge when it comes to regulations. Because the textbook, let's say I have a textbook right now. Okay, I'm not going to show you the front page, but the edition is 2015 for this book. Okay, right now we are 2022. 7 years, there are definitely a lot of rules that are changed. Okay, some have improved, some have been withdrawn, some are updated, and questions will come from these rules also, which have gone through a certain change in real time. So how do you get it? There are two ways. Either you get the latest publication, or you actually learn everything from the DGCA website itself. Obviously, you can get your notes printed later on. So I'm going to show you how to access these notes on your own, and how to study and how to transfer it into your own notes. And then whatever textbook you have, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 edition, those are going to help you as a supplementary text to help you come up with questions and answers and practice whether what you have learned, whether you're able to remember those things or not. Okay. I hope you're following, students, what I'm talking about. Nandini, welcome to the class. I hope you can hear me well. So we are just discussing. Yes. Yes, Nandini, got a word from you. Nandini, what do you think is regulations all about in your personal experience?
A set of rules someone should follow.
A set of rules someone should follow. What is one of the most basic rule that we are actually following, that you have actually followed when you started your ground training, when you started something or the other, applying for your computer number? All those are rules. The documentation to apply for your computer number is a set of rules. You having to clear your ground papers and RT and medicals to apply for a CPL license along with flight training is a part of your whole rule to get your commercial pilot's license. Now, what are the abilities, okay, or what are the skills, or the, what can we say, powers of a commercial pilot, a person who holds a valid commercial pilot license. That will also be explained. What are the limitations when your license will get lapsed? What are the things that you should do when you have the license and not do when you have the license, etc., etc. So many things to remember. Not just this much. You have to also talk about human factors, like what are the limitations with respect to a person's eyesight, a person's oxygen intake at higher levels, a person's fatigue levels, a person's stress levels, and so on. And then definitely how to operate the aircraft, how not to operate the aircraft. What are the basic indications on an aircraft when you look at the aircraft? So when I look at the aircraft from this view, what light color should be here and what light color should be here and what light color should be on the tail? How much should be the radius? So see, all these things and much more is a part of this regulations. How much are you supposed to learn? You're only supposed to learn as much as is applicable to you at a basic level. Okay. I keep reiterating the same thing. CPL is basic studies. Okay. So just waiting for Bijit, and Bijit has just joined us. Anybody else wants to chip in, wants to share what you think regulations is all about in your own words? Please go ahead. Laksha, any ideas, any inputs from your side?
Rules which promote safe aviation process and like protecting pilots, flight attendants, passengers, and general public from unnecessary risk, like air laws, air traffic rules, procedures, and like how we have rules for traffic rules for the people driving cars and bikes on road. In the same way, we have rules for of the air for the safe operation of flights.
Correct. Saying things similar on the same lines as everybody else. Bijit, welcome to the class. Bijit, can you hear me well?
Good evening, sir. First of all, I'm really sorry. I was in an urgent office call, so that's why I'm extremely sorry.
No problem, Bijit. It happens. As I said earlier, it's tough to get started initially. It's okay. We are very flexible. And don't worry. I just hope you can hear me well. It's your first session. Observe, learn as much as you can. Bijit, what we are talking about is what is air regulations in your point of view? Almost everybody has shared their point of views. As today we are starting with air regulations, it's the first class, first lecture. What do you think, in your opinion, is air regulations? Please share it with the class. After you are done, I'm going to start with the session officially.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, all. Air regulation is the main backbone of our Indian aviation. It's called the, which is in India is a civil aviation requirements come under, which is instructed by Director General of Civil Aviation. In aviation, whosoever working, doesn't matter which field you are working, we need to follow that particular civil aviation requirement. Doesn't matter pilot, AMEO, yeah, feed, any ground staff. We need to follow each and every rules regulation for the air safety, and that's it, sir, from my side.
Very well. Bijit, you were able to give me certain keywords. Students, those keywords are civil aviation requirements and DGCA. Okay. Now, how does Bijit know all this? I'll just introduce. Bijit is actually in charge of looking after a lot of pilots, I would say. So he has a lot of knowledge about regulations. It's going to come in handy in our class. Time and again, I'm going to ask him to share his experiences with us and he'll explain. Whenever our topics are aligning with flight duty limitations of pilots and licensing, that's when we'll talk to Vijit and see what Vijit has to share from real industry experience. Thank you so much, Vijit. So that's what it is all about, students. Air regulations is all about these rules and regulations. I'm going to write a few important statements and I would want you to make an entry in your notebooks with the same. It is very important to start regulations like this. Okay. So around, I think there will be around 10 to 15 statements then I'll be talking to you about and we'll be writing down. And then suddenly we'll start discussing about key elements about what are flight rules and how to do this and how to do that and where to get the information from. And suddenly you will see that out of introduction, we have come up to talking about certain serious parts as to where to get the information from. The first and foremost important thing is where to get the information from. Questions will not only be asked about how to do what, but also where will you get the information from. So civil aviation requirements. Okay, in aviation circles, we call it CAR or CAR. Okay, civil aviation requirements are the set of documents that stipulate all our rules and regulations. And these civil aviation requirements are based upon something that a parent aviation organization has created, which is ICAO. Okay. Now we are going to start writing a few points. Write it with me. It's just like me talking to you, but it's a very good start to write it like that. Whenever you sit down to revise regulations, this is how you start. Maybe in future, it will help you deliver a good performance when it comes to, you know, a group discussion or something like that. And students, up to your discretion, you can keep your videos on or off, protecting your privacy. I don't mind. Bijit, I had to see you. So in between, just try to do it on and off in between, if not completely on. And just follow my voice, students. And whenever you are feeling that I'm missing a point, you are missing a point listening to me, please ask, raise your hand. And the chat box is always there for you to drop the messages. Okay. Nandini, Neha, Likhit, Pankti, Manan, Hussain, Bijit, Lakshya, Shraddha, Nukul, Mohammad Azam, and Varad. Let's start. And I think Abhiroop will be watching this later. And I think Arjun will be watching it later. Surprisingly, Arjun wanted to start regulations, but today he is unavailable. I'm not sure where he is. And before we start, students, I have a good news to share with you all. We had 2 students appearing navigation this session. It was their first attempt and both of the students cleared. And one of the students have scored our highest score till date for a first timer in the first attempt. So I'm very happy with the results. And it takes our score of 4 on 4 first attempt students. It's a 100% record so far in navigation. And other subjects, although we are guiding, students were not part, but they have cleared other subjects also. And I think y'all will be just increasing the number of the success that I'm getting. So I'm very happy that I have students who are so sincere that you follow everything taught in the class, because that's all that you need to do. Follow instructions and make sure you tell me what you need extra. And I can guarantee that your chances of clearing in your first attempts, no matter what topic, what subject, are more than 90% or maybe 95%. All right. I can say 100%, but of course, that's too much to dream. So yeah, congratulations to everyone. So what are these points? With reference to our regulation sessions, you will be on the lookout for batch Bravo 22 or Bravo 22. Simple. Okay. So this is the keyword. Bravo 22, like this. Okay. All your lectures, the recordings and the titles will start with Air Regulations Bravo 22, Lecture 1, Air Regulations Bravo 22, Lecture 2, Lecture 3, Lecture 4. We do it because there will be times when you will not be able to attend your live lectures. That's when you will be given recordings. Some of you all are already used to how to do it. So it gives you a good track. It also helps you keep a track of whether you have covered all topics in sequence or not. Okay. So Bravo 22 for regulations will be given to you. It's yours right now. Do not get confused thinking, sir, I have 4 different batches. It's all subject wise. Just remember like that. Okay. Now, if I have to talk about definition of air regulation, I want you to write these things down. Okay. And trust me, I'll make sure regulations is not as boring as you might think it is. It's all about talking and discussing who does what. That's it. I would say air regulations as rules to be followed by certified aviation professionals. Rules to be followed by certified aviation professionals to ensure utmost safety of their aircraft and their passengers. So all the answers that I have got, they are right. Correct? Now we frame it into proper words and we get this statement out. Tomorrow, if you're going for a group discussion for a job interview, the words that you choose to use will make the impact and will increase your chances of selection. Simple as that. Okay. What are air regulations? They are the rules that are to be followed by certified aviation professionals to ensure utmost level of safety for their aircraft and their passengers. Is there a different definition to air regulations? Yes. What is it? I'm going to write it in blue. What are air regulations? Minimums to look out for before proceeding with certain operations of the flight. Now, this minimums is very interesting. Before departure, before you think to start the aircraft and take off, you have to analyze the weather elements and you have to check whether your present weather elements are above or below the minimum set as per the air regulations. Like for a visual flight, for a flight where you cannot fly during night time, you can only fly during daytime, the visibility should be 5,000 meters. Okay. This is one of the regulations, limitations. Minimum visibility 5,000 meters for a normal VFR operation. VFR means visual flight rules. We are going to write that today. When I check my visibility, there are certain instruments on the airport that will show you what the visibility is. They are known as transmissometers. Okay. If the visibility is below 5,000, then you cannot go ahead with your flight. Not as per normal operations. Then you check for other regulations. You check if there is any provision for you to take off with visibility. Let's say if it is 3,000 meters. It's below the minimum, but you're still checking. You'll be surprised to see, yes, there is a provision to fly up to a visibility reduced to a level of 1,500 meters. All this you're going to learn, okay? So how do I know this? I know this because I've studied regulations. If I have not studied regulations, even if in 1,000-meter visibility, if I take off, I'm not going to be able to successfully fly the airplane. And there's going to be a lot of potential damage happening to the aircraft, to the pilot, to passengers, and God knows so many other people around. So air regulations will also define the minimums to look out for before proceeding with certain operations of the aircraft. I'll continue. If in inverted comma conditions, students, these conditions will cover a major chunk of your minimums. And these minimums are often referred to as minimas. Okay, minima, airport minima, airport minimum. It's like, let's say I'm sitting on a chair and the manufacturer has given us a limitation that the chair can hold up a maximum weight of 500 kgs. So the moment 5 guys like me sit on the chair, I am at maximum capacity. The moment the 6th person sits, the chair is going to break. I am breaking the rule. I am breaking the law. The law was not to exceed the maximum. I exceeded the maximum. What happened? Structural failure. That is maximum. Here, the conditions in the weather will be minimum. They will not say that halt your operation when visibility is 8,000 meters. No, good. Visibility 8,000 meters, great. The more you can see, the more you can fly. It is reverse. It's minimum. Okay. It's like you are trying to go for a sporting event, and the challenges are that a minimum average you should have this much, minimum speed you should have this much, minimum weight, only then you will be allowed. Just like your passing marks in your examinations, minimum is 70. If you score 70, you are passed. That's the minima. If you score 69, you are below the minima. You try again and score better, right? So if these conditions are below, if conditions are below these preset minimums, who do you think decides these minimums? We are going to talk about them, okay? If conditions are below these preset minimums, aircraft operations have to be avoided. You won't believe, students, but so many times it has happened that just because of certain ego of a certain human, that there have been accidents, just because the human thought that if you are on the minimum or the borderline, I can still sail through. I have done this a billion times, I can do it again. And that is called as complacency. You will learn that in human factors, that complacency has caused us a lot of damage. So all these rules are for your safety, for my safety, for everybody's safety. And not just safety, students, not just safety, but a very good, solid, successful, and a long career as a commercial pilot. You follow the rules, nobody can touch you. It's like that. You stick by the rules, do everything, and you'll find yourself in the top list of all the top pilots in the country. Okay, so you have to master regulations. You don't have to think of it just as another topic. Oh, I can do 2000 questions and I'll clear the exam. Many people do that, but do it for the knowledge. Examination will be a default gift for you, clearing the exam. But the knowledge is gold. Okay, so remember, regulations, rules, minimums, preset conditions. Let me ask, why are these rules set? Who can give me the answer? Who had not answered before can go ahead and give me the answer. Why are these rules set? In your own words, we'll take 1 or 2 answers. And then I'll give you my statement. Mohammed Azam wants to answer. Go ahead.
Before setting these rules, there were many accidents happening, hijacking happening, and different default cases were happening. Once the ICAO has set these rules, the GCA followed these rules to reduce these accidents and hijacking, whereas every different possibilities were to give the safety for the passengers as well as for the aircrafts.
Correct. Very logical answer. I can take that as an answer. It's a right answer. Anybody else wants to try? Likhit, go ahead.
So to ensure a safe operations of the aircraft and safety of the passengers and aircraft.
Again, same correct answer. I'll take that as an answer. But you see, these statements and the statement that I'm going to give, there is a thin difference between them. And the difference is of utmost importance. And that difference directly talks about your decision-making skills. Before that, let me share an example with you all. Some time ago, I was deeply researching the history of modern aviation, okay? And once you get into that zone, you know, you just feel like getting more information, and so on. When commercial planes, okay, smaller planes, hardly a few passengers, hardly some distance, very low altitude planes, no pressurization, hardly any radio equipments, that state, when we didn't have color photography, where we didn't have video photography much, those eras, okay, they used to follow, planes used to follow the roads on the ground. If there is a road leading one city to another city, planes used to simply follow the roads and fly. And they used to follow one side of the road, either the left side or the right side. Okay. And that was their route. Okay. So if I have a road, let's say from my home to the airport, then the pilots would also fly the plane using the same route, but in air. Okay. Not on ground, in air. That was the difference. The first recorded mid-air collision had happened because of this issue. And the issue was that both the planes took off and they both were on the same side of the road and they both were at the same altitude because everybody was following the same rules. Similar planes. Okay, 3,000, 4,000 is a safe altitude. I have to be on this side of the road. This guy will also be on this side of the road. And they both collided like this. Simple. Because they both were on the same side of the road but opposite directions. That was the first reported aviation disaster. Until then, there were no aviation disasters. And aviation was considered to be like, people used to play with real aircrafts, you know. They used to lift the tail landing gear of the aircraft and lift it and keep it there. And they just used to crank the propeller with their own hands, and they used to jump into the running plane and then take off, jump out of a running plane while landing. They used to play with airplane as if they were toys. No accidents. It was a small, very small, but a very sturdy mechanism that they had made. And then when this mid-air collision happened, that they created first rule of air, or the rule of the air, which was planes going in that direction will be on the left side of the road, and planes coming in this direction will be on the right side of the road. That was the first regulation. And after that, no more mid-air collisions happened. Simple. The law prevented, but the law came after certain accident, like Mohammad Azam is saying. Definitely it happens. A lot of laws come after a lot of accidents. A lot of laws come before accidents. There's the first law when it comes to rules of the air, that was parallel or lateral separation. And since then we have evolved today to have such a good successful ratio. So coming back to this point, why are these rules set? Focus on the statement, okay, and please write down. To make it easy for the professionals to decide. See, all key elements I'm writing in inverted commas. These rules are set to make it easy for the professionals to decide whether it is safe to operate the aircraft or not. Do you understand the difference? Every question answer you are giving me a similar statement, but when I am writing it, the statements are changing, although the meaning is still the same, but I'm adding another meaning to it. This is the level of understanding I want you all to have. That's why I'm asking you all to write these things down. The rules are set to make it easy for you to decide whether you should go ahead with the particular operation of the flight or not. Your decision matters. If you refuse to fly because you are suspecting something is wrong, everybody would appreciate that. Everyone would appreciate that. Okay. Now we can come to our key elements and write down the major set of rules with respect to pilots. Are known as visual flight rules, that is VFR, and number 2, instrument flight rules, IFR. For students who are well versed with RT, you already know what is VFR, IFR. Now, these are the 2 categories of rules. If Lakshya wants to know what are the rules that I have to follow for safe operation of flight, Lakshya will have to find out VFR and IFR. Like that. Simple. If Hussein wants to know, same. If I want to know, same. Where do you get this VFR, IFR? Now that's a good question. Like Bijit already said, civil aviation requirements, we are going to introduce that in these statements. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to live screen and show you how to track it down from the website. Okay. So far, so good, students. I don't want you all to get bored. I don't want to be the one who's just talking technical language all the time, because I think regulations is very interesting. I have seen other students sleeping during regulations, but it's all about how we approach it. So far, so good. Simple, right? Logical points, but specific points. We need this information. When anybody ever asks, you have to use these words the way I am talking about. Okay. Now, before I tell you what is VFR and IFR, you have to understand the role of weather. What is the role of weather? Does it have any impact? It has a lot of impact. Does it have any impact in deciding your air regulations? Yes, it has a lot of impact. How do we sum up in one sentence? Please write it down. The role of weather. The weather around. When I say around, it means around you, around your aerodrome, around your flight path, around your departure aerodrome, around your destination aerodrome, wherever it is related to your operations. Role of weather. Write down. Let's increase our speed a little bit. The weather around plays a vital role in the safe operation of the aircraft. Obvious, but please write. The weather around plays a vital role in safe operations of the aircraft. Okay, this we all know. Then why we are writing it? We are writing it because you will write thus: a certain number of weather elements If you can clearly understand these points that I'm giving you, your life for regulations will be very smooth, okay? Thus, a certain number of weather elements can be observed. We will observe them through various instruments, okay? To see if the weather is inverted commas clear or inverted commas safe to fly the aircraft. So students, your VFR and IFR will have these weather elements, certain weather elements. This is why the statement is given to you. You don't have to learn about everything about weather. That you will learn in meteorology. For regulations, a certain elements, if you can decide and if you can study, then those certain elements will become a part of your VFR and IFR. You have to check whether you are below the minima, above the minima, and then only you have to depart. So far, so good, everyone. Easy. These weather conditions are categorized these weather conditions are categorized in two. VMC IMC. If you're wondering what is VMC and IMC, so all these few weather elements that we are going to observe to determine whether we are below the minima, above the minima, these conditions are categorized, gathered, and converted into just two to make it much more easier. Either this or that. It could be 10 weather elements, 20 weather elements, but it will be shortened into either this or that. What is VMC? What is IMC? Write down. VMC means those weather conditions, or we'll simply write down the full form. Visual meteorological conditions. Weather elements where the minimums are such that you can go ahead with a VFR flight. Weather elements where the conditions are such where you don't need instruments to fly, you can simply fly using your eyes looking out, but definitely during the daytime only. You cannot fly during the night time. So what are these conditions? In next lecture for regulations, I'll be giving you a table. In that table, you will see there are only 3 or 4 elements. That's it. Basic. How high is the cloud? How far is the visibility? Very simple. And what about IMC? If your weather conditions are not VMC, then chances are your weather conditions are IMC. Either one of the two will only happen at any given point in time. Even right now, take any airport in the whole world. Either few airports will have VMC conditions if it's daytime, or they can have IMC conditions if it's bad weather, or it's nighttime, they will have IMC conditions. Nothing else. What are these conditions? They are weather elements. What are these elements? It's just a matter of noting those points down subsequently. But you understand the gist of it. So a person will fly if VMC conditions are there, then the rules that the person is going to follow are called as VFR rules or visual flight rules. And if the conditions are IMC, then the rules that the pilot has to follow are IFR or instrument flight rules. Got it, students? And this, my dear students, is your golden element, your most basic and most important question that will be asked to you. It can be asked to you in your RT exams, regulations, interviews, airline entry exams. Can a VFR pilot fly in VMC? Yes. Can a VFR pilot fly in IMC? No. How? No. I need visibility. IMC will not having visibility. IMC. Can an IFR pilot fly VMC? Yes. IFR can fly everything. And can an IFR pilot fly IMC? Of course. Of course, yes. So this point is golden point for you. 2 marks, guaranteed. You should not get wrong with this. So IMC is instrument meteorological conditions. Now, because this week we are just starting with one lecture for your fresh batches, you will have a lot of time to study. I am going to, if you have not already got it, I am going to share a segregated text that I have made from your DGCA civil aviation requirements, where we have important definitions. These definitions can be a part of your questions also. These definitions will talk about VMC, IMC, VFR, IFR, and so on. It is recommended that you at least read 5 to 10 definitions every day. You don't have to by heart the definition, students. You have to just read it once or twice before your exams. Twice is good. You will remember. The definitions will include abbreviations and include so many important elements that when you read the definition, you'll understand. Remember that, okay? I'll be sharing it. Somebody please write it in the parking lot. What is the parking lot? If this is your notebook, please make your regulations notebook, students. Old school, it's the best way to study. And the last page will be a parking lot. Write today's date and whatever doubts we are not solving, whatever doubts we are not solving, whatever doubts we are going to solve, we write it in the parking lot, like me sending you definitions in the parking lot, right? So that you can remind me. If I forget, I tend to forget things. Good. So we'll add on to the point. Thus, if weather conditions, I'm using shortcut for weather WX. If weather conditions match with safe visual meteorological conditions, we can understand that flight is safe to be conducted according to VFR. Read this statement again and tell me if there's any confusion. I have been talking, asking you to write and remember. I should give you a couple of minutes to soak everything in. It's not a break, just 1 minute. I'm going to be quiet. Soak everything in, go through everything. Now we are going to get into second gear, write a few more points. We have a lot to cover, right? Any doubts, students? Starting from basic definition to we have to jumping on VMC, IMC, VFR, IFR. Look at the transition. There is much more to it. Let's see how much we can cover. I want us to cover so much. I'm understanding there's no question, no doubt. Let's go ahead. Let's continue. Therefore, if weather conditions fall below VMC minimums, if weather conditions fall below VMC minimums, aircraft should not be operated as per VFR. Simple. It is simple, but when the same thing is drafted into questions in the exam, it gets very confusing. Especially for a student. Student is like, everything looks like the same answer, everything looks like the correct answer, or everything looks like incorrect answer. So what to mark? So you have to have the clarity of understanding between words. Another point with respect to this, in special cases, if VMC, that is visual meteorological conditions, fall below minimums, but up to a certain lower limit. Now, this is that example. My basic VMC tells me 5,000 meters RVR. This is a situation where what if certain cases my RVR is below 5,000, but up to a certain limit, and that limit, let's say 1,500 meters. What can I do? This is the statement over there. In special cases, if VMC falls below minimums, but up to a certain lower limit, aircraft can be operated as per special VFR. Okay, students, remember this point. I'm going to give you one weather element, RVR, 5,000 meters and more, normal VFR, and RVR, 1,500 meters to 5,000 meters, special VFR, like this. What is RVR? Write down, note, RVR is runway visual range. Now, this is one of the weather elements we were talking about, defining VMC, IMC. When weather deteriorates, elements and conditions change from VMC to IMC. Remember, there is no other possibility. A pilot cannot fly as per VFR in IMC. The entire statement in inverted commas. Any objections? Raise your hand, students. This is the golden point already discussed. No questions? Whenever, yeah, anybody, go ahead. Is someone trying to ask something?
So in special VFR flights, right, they can change from VFR to IMC, right? So why that special flight, special VFR, they can mention IFR, IMC, right?
You can mention IMC if your aircraft is certified to fly IFR, but there are certain aircrafts that cannot fly IFR. They don't have those instruments. They can only do visual flights. So they can do a risk flying basically. For them, it's special VFR. It's a good question. Obviously, if your aircraft is like an Airbus or a Boeing 777, 737, you will do IMC. You don't need special VFR. You don't need VFR at all. Even if there is VFR, you will be flying IMC only, IFR rules only, everything as per IFR. We are talking about those airplanes which can only fly VFR. Small planes, training flights, Cessnas. It's only for them, special VFR. Good. For a long time when I was student, nobody explained this to me. I used to wonder, doing RT, why will a Airbus 320 fly VFR anyway? Why are they giving me special VFR in the first place? So in exams, they give you simulations sometimes which are not too realistic also. It's like that. They want to see your background and your theory and your concept. It's like that. Anybody else has a question to ask? Somebody had raised the hand. Okay, fine. Whenever weather conditions are IMC, instrument meteorological conditions. I'll give you a list in the next session, okay? Whenever weather conditions are IMC, pilot is supposed to fly as per IFR only. Next points, just two more important points, and then we are done with VMC, IMC. And then we'll talk about how to find the information and who gives the information. And we'll start talking about names, not people, but designations. Right, this point, a pilot is allowed to fly with IFR even in VMC. Remember, Likit, Roger. A pilot is allowed to fly with IFR even in VMC because VMC limitations are above the values and limitations of IMC. Following students?
Affirm, sir. Victor Tango November Echo Hotel.
Because IMC is already minimums. VMC is larger than IMC. VMC gives us more. In your IMC, you might not have any RVR. VMC has RVR. If you're wondering what is RVR, runway visual range, when you are in the cockpit, when you are on the runway, in the cockpit, how far can you see clearly with your own eyes? How far can you see the runway markings? That is runway visual range. If there is a lot of fog, lot of rain, lot of dust, smog, it will be reduced. If it's a clear sky, clear day, clear weather, it will increase. Yes, Bijit, go ahead.
Sir, extremely sorry to inform you. I got a call from my office due to urgency. I need to join the meeting, office call. I'm extremely sorry. I
No
I
worries.
just
Go
want
ahead.
to
Go
I
ahead
just
with
need to inform you the reason actually because of that Ganga operation going on. So that's why we need to send someone.
Okay, it's okay. You carry on.
Oh, okay.
We'll work it out later. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support, sir.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Don't worry.
Oh.
Students, clear this much. A pilot is allowed to fly IMC, VFR. Why? If somebody ever asks why, you will say the limitations are IMC are below VMC. It means VMC is over and above IMC. So IMC pilot, IFR pilot, IMC pilot, IFR pilot. Don't get confused. It is possible. Simple. So let's refine. Thus, make these two statements. VFR cannot fly in IMC. VFR can fly in VMC. IFR can fly in IMC, and IFR can fly in VMC also. Got it, students? Tired writing, right? Take a look at these points. Easy. I think you have understood them, but make sure you remember them. Any questions anybody wants to ask? Laksha, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Shata, how about you? Are you following?
Sir.
Pankti, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now we are going to quickly make a flow chart and see what is the source of information for these rules and regulations. You need to know, right? Where do you get this information from? Source of information for these rules and regulations. What is the source? All rules, regulations, protocols are mentioned, okay, in official publications issued by DGCA, Government of India. You have to mention Government of India because many governments of different countries have DGCAs. Directorate General of Civil Aviation. So these publications are issued by DGCA Government of India under the supervision of ICAO. Now this is where our publications start. What is the full form for DGCA? Directorate General of Civil Aviation. It's a designation. What is ICAO? International Civil Aviation Organization. ICAO is the world's parent civil aviation organization. All your rules, all your regulations, everything is issued by ICAO, and ICAO gives it to the Government of India, DGCA, and DGCA regulates it for the country. There are many regulatory authorities. There is FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. There is JA, Joint Aviation Authority. There is CA, Civil Aviation Authority. EASA, European Aviation Safety Agency, and more. They all have different regions under them, but they all have an oversight on them by ICAO. Got it, students? For us, it is DGCA. Write down, note these publications. Now, why are we calling these publications? These are plain pages on which information is written and it becomes a publication. It could be a book, it could be something else, it could be something else. These are not made into books, these are made into single pages that could be filed and removed whenever there is a revision or an amendment to these rules and regulations. So these publications are known as CAR. That is Civil Aviation Requirements. You know, engineering students, they have to actually buy this big thick CARs for many bucks spent, and they have to study everything from the actual CAR. They don't have textbooks like pilot studies students have textbooks, and they have to study everything. We will write one last statement about the CAR, and then I'm going to show you how to access the CAR, and I'm going to share the screen and show you the website, and I'm going to make you write down all the different sections. Okay. These publications are known as CAR, Civil Aviation Requirements. Okay. The CAR or Civil Aviation Requirements are subdivided into various sections. Students, this is very important. Don't lose your focus. The CAR are subdivided into various sections. as below. That's it. It is very important to know which section is what. And ultimately, our session for the day is going to end where we will try to find out where are these so-called rules of the air in which section of the CAR. Okay, questions could come like these: rules of the air are mentioned in dash section of the CAR, and you'll be given 3 or 4 options. You need to know which section. Got it? Such simple questions can also come. Students, are you enjoying the session? You are here by your choice. Nobody is forcing you to come here. We are reminding ourselves. Are we following? Is regulations becoming easy so far for us? Yes, no, maybe.
Affirm, sir. Victor Tango
Affirm,
November
sir.
Kilo Charlie.
Affirm,
Lakshya,
sir.
Lakshya, should I ask if you're feeling sleepy?
No, sir. Actually, I have already studied these things.
Good.
Yeah, the rules and everything.
Good for you. But don't be complacent. Be in the present and study again. It's gonna help you a lot. These are
Yeah.
disadvantages of having your camera on, you know. The teacher is like, okay, what are you doing? Are you not focusing? No, it's nothing like that. Okay, I'm just asking to make sure whether you're following or not. Just give me a second. Okay. Students, I'm going to share the screen with you now. If you come across any private or sensitive data, please ignore and forget it. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Can everybody see the web browser?
Affirm, sir.
Okay, fine. Don't think like, sir, ये सब क्या है? ये सब तो हम लोगों को आता है. ये तो बच्चों वाली चीजें हैं. Don't think of it like this, okay? If anybody is thinking like this, what am I doing? I'm doing DGCA India. I want to go on my DGCA website, dgca.gov.in. I click on that. Okay. This is my DGCA website, students. I have to make sure my language selected is English. Looks like it is English. Where do I find civil aviation requirements? Here. So this is the tab. These are the tabs. Can everybody see it, students?
Affirm, sir.
Affirm, sir.
Yeah. You have to look at this tab first. Aircraft. And what are the options that you get? Certification of the aircraft. So many different. Certification of maintenance organizations. Aircraft registration reports. Airworthiness directives. Mandatory modifications. Simulators for the aircrafts. Every key detail will be here. Second tab, aircraft operations. Do you want to start an airline business? Air operator certificate permit, how to get it? Do you want to start an scheduled transport, passengers, cargo, non-scheduled? What are the actual flight schedules? Everything you can check here. What are the permissions? Can you just do skydiving? Can you just get your clearance? Everything is given here. Cabin crew training program, dangerous goods training program, photography, ground photography, everything. Personal is related to you. License is related to pilots. You will get information on this tab. Flight dispatchers, air traffic controllers, AMEs, examinations, tentative schedules, results, training with respect to pilots. What are the type training organizations, gliders, English, AME, medicals. See, class 3 is also there. Designated examiners, aerodromes, how to obtain aerodrome licenses, air navigation services, data and reports. Data and reports will have accident investigation reports and everything. So far, statistics. What is more important for you is the last tab, regulations. In these regulations, look at it. The Aircraft Act 1934. In India, all the government officials had gathered and they had established an act known as the Aircraft Act 1934. This act was formed to develop rules and regulations based upon ICAO. They had adopted ICAO rules and regulations, and it took them 3 years to come up with rules and regulations to be followed in India based upon the act. So the act was formed 1934. It was the first act of its kind to develop civil aviation, and the act resulted into what we call as the Aircraft Rules 1937. These rules are very important. These rules are very important. Just like you see in movies, section IPC, this and that, section 420, 145, we have different rules. Out of these rules, certain rules are important for your examination. Let's click on the rules and check it out. I would want over the end of your training, I would want you all to remember the divisions of your rules. Like primarily or preliminary rules 1, 2, 3, Bravo. General conditions of flying 4 to 20. If you can remember this table in future, it will be very easy for you. It will really be very easy for you to mark the correct option just by looking at the rule. Let's say your rule is rule 38. What is your rule 38? You click on personnel of aircraft. Rule 38 is licensing authority. You click on it and this is the rule. What is the rule saying? Can somebody read it out for me proactively? I'm just showing you all these things we have to memorize over a period of our training. Varad, rule number 38.
The authority by which the license and rating specified below may be granted, renewed or varied shall be the central government, which may withhold the grant or renewal of license or rating if it if for any reason it considered it desirable to do so. A
Yes.
student
So stand by, Varad, stand by. Thank you. Although we are talking about DGCA, the permission to issue or revoke your licenses is with the central government. And it's rule number 38. Are you following, students? Anything to do with licensing, I go back to rules, I click here. Anything to do with licensing or personnel of aircraft, licensing will be personnel of aircraft, rule 38 to 48. That is the key strategy to remember rules. 38 will talk about, okay, if I need student pilot license, these are the licenses that I will get, and pilot's license, these are the licenses that I'm going to get. And this you don't need to remember, but these are all the amendments and revisions to these rules. The last amendment came in 2017. I'm just giving you a brief for the sake of the knowledge, students, not just to pass the exams. Which is the next rule? Let's click 38A, carriage of operating crew. Who is going to be a flight crew? So they are saying subject to rule 6, 6A, 6B, every aircraft registered in India shall comply with such requirements that the people or personnel that it carries and by which the aircraft is going to be operated are as below. there should be a pilot.
Private aircraft.
A pilot will be there for every private aircraft. So and so, so and so. For public transport also. So and so, so and so. Then there should be a flight instructor and assistant flight instructor for any aircraft that has dual instructions. For professional pilot license, flight navigator, flight engineer, deleted, flight radio telephone operator. See, this used to be a big designation. Now pilots are doing the radio telephony. But still certain aircrafts will have flight radio telephony operators, minimum crew, and so on. I'm not reading everything in detail because that's not on our agenda today. I'm just showing you that this is how you have to remember the rules. Let's look at another rule in the same personal carriage of cabin crew. So the question would be carriage of cabin crew is as per which rule? And the options would be rule 38, Bravo, rule 49, and rule 56. So if you could remember that the personal part of the rule was from rule 38 to rule 48, then it will be easy for you to mark the correct option in the exam, even if you partially know the answer. Are we following, students?
Sir, is this regulation whole based on this part 1 to part 13? We need to mug up all this.
Don't have to mug up. You only have to remember the key rules that are related to your CPL. That's it. You don't have to mug up everything. It's not possible for anyone to mug up everything. Out of all these rules, not all rules are related to you, but there are many rules that are related to CPL. That's what you have to do. Okay. First thing, rules. But what were we writing in our notes, students? We were talking about the CAR is divided into various sections. The sections is very important right now. Where are those sections? Let's go back. Let's go back to regulations and guidance. Here, civil aviation requirements. This, students. This is very important. The whole document of civil aviation requirements has 11 sections. Section 1 to section 11. You have to remember all these sections, the name of these sections. Okay. Section 1, general. Section 2, airworthiness. Section 3, air transport. Section 4, aerodrome standard. Section 5, air safety. Section 6, design standard. Section 7 is very important for you. You don't have to learn all sections. See, if I click on general, I have so many documents in general. Units of measurement, definitions, and so on. For us, the major section to remember is section 7, first, flight crew standards, training and licenses. In that, ideally, you have to study section 7, series B. What is the topic for series B? Syllabus and schedule for examination for subjects for issue of license and ratings. So if you ever wondering what is your syllabus for regulations, this is the place to find out. Are you following, students? Mohammad Azam, are you perplexed?
I didn't get your question.
Getting it, right?
I'm getting it.
Yeah. So series B, part 1, part 2, part 3. There were times when students had to memorize everything. But for you, you don't have to memorize everything, only the key elements related to it. The new government had started seaports, seaplane rating for pilots. See the latest one, 2021, October, competency-based training and assessment and evidence-based training. Something new is coming up in licensing. Then CAR Section 7, Series C gives you medical standards and examinations. Such a simple thing to remember. Class 1, Class 2, what are the medical requirements? Where do you find it? In options, you will say CAR Section 7, Series C. It could be part 1, part 2, part 3 also. Such also questions could come to you. Don't be overwhelmed. It's easy. Skills, proficiency checks, and so on. Now, if I have to ask, where will I find rules of the air? Which section? Everybody write down. Firstly, take a picture of this and enter it in your notes anytime, right now or later. Take a picture of this, and the sections are, when I say the sections are, this is what you're supposed to do. Okay, students, all sections. Now my question is, where do we get the information about IFR, VFR, in which section, in which part of the section, and what is it called as? Where do you think? Let's guess. Everybody write your answers in the chat box. Which section out of this? Make a wild guess. Where do you think I'll find rules of the air, VFR, IFR, and those explanations out of this? You all get one chance to make a guess. Not everybody has submitted. Good guesses. Varad. Okay. Okay. Everybody is giving me answer. Good guesses. Good guesses. The correct answer is, firstly, in your notebook, write down, where do you get the information about IFR and VFR, in which section? And what are they called? They are called rules of the air. And they are found in section 9er or section 9, students. Rules of the air are in section 9. Write it down. And where in section 9? Rules of the air are in section 9. Students who got section 9, great guess. Very happy to see your correct guess. A lot of students have given me correct guess. In section 9, where is rules of the air? Look, right in front of you. Series C, rules of the air. Series, it's just like alphabetically, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's like name of the chapters, students. Like how we have lecture 1, lecture 2, lecture 3, lecture 4. They have series A, series B, series C. Sometimes they will not have A, B. They will just simply start with C. They will not have D. They will have E. But it will be alphabetical. Got it, everyone? Rules of the air. Can I click it? Part 1, rules of the air. Yes. Sadly, on this web page, sometimes I have faced an issue that unless I download, it will not show me the text. See, section 9, series C, it automatically downloads. So if in case you're wondering why is my web page not opening, depending from your browser to browser, it will be downloaded. And check. Section 9, airspace air traffic management, series C, part 1, rules of the air. And you see this word like ICAO. Okay, sorry. You cannot see the downloads part. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Students, let me show it to you. Check this out. So this is the file that got downloaded. CAR section 9, airspace and traffic air management, series C, rules of the air. Article 12 will be a document. There are many articles that state certain rules and regulations. ICAO Annex 2. Just like CAR has many sections, ICAO has annexes or annexures. I'm going to give you a list of these annexures also. You have to remember all these annexures. It's very important. Then Rule 16 of the Aircraft Rules 1937 is also associated with this. So what is Rule 16? You can always go back and check what is Rule 16. You don't have to remember when this was issued and all. You have to just remember key points. And see, here are your definitions. So the definition textbook that I'm going to share with you, soft copy, is from here only. What is the definition of aerodrome? These topics come in your exam. An aerodrome is dash, option A, option B, option C, option D. You have to mark the correct definition. So you don't have to study everything. You have to just study basic things, which I'll be pointing out for you. And it's just reading once and knowing. That's it. You don't have to memorize half of the things. Even points like what is aircraft? A very important definition. I'll just read it out. Any machine which can derive support in the atmosphere from the reactions of the air other than reactions of the air against the Earth's surface. This against the Earth's surface, they mean hovercrafts. So hovercrafts are not aircrafts, is what they're trying to say. And aircrafts, they include balloons, fixed or free, airships, kites, gliders, and flying machines. Your kites are also considered as aircrafts. Similarly, you have a lot of definitions. Make sure you read 10 to 15 definitions every day before sleeping or after waking up. Make your regulation study very easy. Talking about VFR, VMC, let's just quickly check it. See IFR. IFR is a symbol used for instrument flight rules. What is IFR flight? A flight conducted in accordance with IMC, instrument flight rules. And what is IMC? Instrument meteorological conditions. Meteorological conditions expressed in terms of visibility. So remember, we were talking about certain elements of weather: visibility, distance from cloud, and ceiling. How high is the cloud? Less than the minima specified for VMC. So IMC minimas are lesser than the VMC minimas. So VMC minimas are higher. Click a picture of this maneuvering area and movement area right now. These are two important definitions that come usually in the examination. What is the difference between maneuvering area and movement area? Click a picture. After you have written down the sections, you will write down these two definitions also. Maneuvering area does not include aprons. Movement area includes aprons. That is the difference. Are you following, students? Who is an operator? Who is in pilot in command? See, this is your future designation. Everything is there in this rules of the air C part 1. It starts with definition. And you want to see how far it goes? It goes your marshalling signals. Couple of marshalling signals are important. Couple of runway and aerodrome markings are important. See dumbbells. I'll show you Mumbai dumbbell also. Visual. These are important points in case of radio communication failure. How will you communicate with the ATC?
Sir,
Pilot.
1 minute. Could you say-
Sorry, Varad, what are you saying?
Sir, table. I have to take the screenshot.
Which table? This table.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can download, no? I have taught you how to download. You can download this PDF anyway. But take a screenshot, no problem. Okay, done?
Yes, sir. Done.
So this rules of the air is going to be very important for us. And what are urgency, distress, mayday, most of what you have learned in RT is also going to come here. That's why it's important to learn RT first. See, change from IFR to VFR. Can you do it? If yes, then how to do it? These are critical points. So I'm just showing you how to access. I'm going to teach you all these important points. I'm going to brief you all. You're going to write points. We are going to learn. Let's see how far it goes. Interception of an aircraft. Fighter jets. If you enter a prohibited or a restricted area, your fighter jet will come and intercept you. You have to follow them. You are the intercepted aircraft. What are you supposed to do? You should follow the instructions given by the intercepting aircraft, a fighter jet. So this rules of the air, see what to do during radio communication. Then cruising altitude tables. Students are always asking, sir, odd, even, what to do about odd and what to do about even. This is what it is, what to do about odd and even. Everything is there. This CR section 9, series C. See, I'm trying to recall. Memorize it today only. Rules of the air. CR section 9, series C is very important for us. You will be learning a lot from here. And let's see where it ends. See, so many things are there. All rules of the air are there. See, the lights I was talking about initially, that is also there. How the light should be. Everything. So my job is to show you and teach you an unlawful interference. People are often wondering, so what is unlawful interference? See, everything is here. Last page of rules of the air. This is unlawful interference. So the point is, students, do not be scared. Sorry, I'm stopping the screen share. The point is, do not be scared. I know you are not scared. Do not be overwhelmed. It's very interesting if you take interest into it. Laksha, after the class, drop me a message about how much you already know about these topics and regulations and everything. Okay, in your own words, so that I also know how much you know. And if there is any redundancy, then you can avoid attending those sessions and use that time for something else more productive. Other than that, Shraddha, Nandini, Hussain, I'm sure you have some brief idea about these things, but Neha, Pankti, Nukul, Manan, Varad, Muhammad Azam, Shraddha, Nandini, it's all first time for you. Have you got a gist of it? What we are going to do, how we are going to do? There will be more strategies that I'm going to discuss, but now you know what we are supposed to do, how we are supposed to remember certain things. It's just that, it's just rules and regulations. It's very simple. And it's not very vast also. A lot of interesting topics are there. But how to approach, how to download, it's all there on the website. Two things of major concern: aircraft rules 1937 and CR sections, and then ICAO annexures, the list of which I will give you in the next session, not today. Lakshay, do you have something to say?
Yes, sir. Actually, I have completed this till the VFR minimum stable and all the definitions like maneuvering area, movement area, rules of air based upon articles,
So
and
you have
general
studied
one.
rules of the air basically. up
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah, I have set it till VFR minimum stable.
VFR minimum stable. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So I don't think a lot is going to overlap. You can just consider it to be a revision for that matter.
Yeah.
In case. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Great, students. Any questions, anyone? We will wrap up the session now. And from next week onwards, we are going to establish a schedule wherein we have regular lectures for all subjects. Slow and steadily we'll increase our classes also.
Yes, sir.
What are you saying, Hussain?
So any idea about the next attempt? Any of the next attempt?
See, on-demand schedule is out for 3 months, but next regular attempt, I think, can happen in couple of months or so, max, because the results are out. So if the results are out, then I think the next session could happen in couple of months, max. Natural, like regular session. So if it's March, then April, May, I think June first week or June second week should be the exams at max. My assumption right now. Okay, Hussain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, students, I hope you're smiling. Your regulations have started. It's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. And you are going to clear in your first attempt. Be very sure about it, provided we learn and study everything. I'm going to make the lectures more interesting. Anytime you feel it's getting boring, you have to tell me, sir, it's boring. Do something. Okay. In real classroom, like a physical classroom, we can, ask somebody to dance or sing and make it fun, right? In online, it doesn't seem that too realistic, because it can get recorded and then people will start making fun and we don't want that. So we cannot do that. But I can obviously make your topics very interesting without all that. So do let me know whatever you need. I'm signing off. Students in the RT batch, 8:15 is our class. I feel I'm laughing because we are just studying and it's so long, it's so late. But let's see how it goes. Alpha 2020 meet me. Correction. Alpha 22 meet me at 8:15. Others, tomorrow, metrology first class, 6 p.m. and RT part 2, Alpha Zulu, 12 p.m. and again, Alpha 22 RT, 8:15 p.m. I'm not sure how much you followed, but you have the schedule. I'm taking your leave, students. Enjoy your evening. Remember what we have studied. Play with the website. Keep in your free time when you're reading Instagram or quotes or inspiration and this and that. Switch from that and come to DGCA website. Start reading all rules in sequence and start reading your sections and rules of the air in your free time. It will really help you and make your job much more easier. Why? For the knowledge, not for the exam, for the knowledge. Simple. This is the best strategy to clear your regulations. You will see within 10 to 15 lectures for your regulations, you will be very close to clearing the exams in just 10 to 15 lectures. That's what I can do for you. But you have to follow instructions, okay? And you have to get back to me whatever challenges you have. Great, students. I'm very happy we were able to do it. And students watching the recording, I'm sure you're enjoying it too. 3 to 4 students could not join us because they had work commitments. It's okay. I'll see you all tomorrow, students, and I'll see you all later in the evening, few of the students. Take care, everyone. Relax and bye. See you. Thanks for being such
Thank
a
you,
good
sir.
class.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.